Commander Vex Thornbeak was having what you might generously call a bad day. And by bad day, I mean his entire fleet was being systematically dismantled by robots that apparently took their design inspiration from a blender crossed with a particularly aggressive hedge trimmer. "Status report," Vex squawked through his translator, his feathers ruffling in what passed for panic among his species. The Cathara weren't exactly known for their military prowess. They were more the "let's discuss this over herbal tea" type of civilization. 16 ships down, sir," Lieutenant Zara Fluffington called out from her station. Yes, that was actually her name. The Cathara had a thing about cute names that really didn't match their current situation of being turned into space debris. "And the Brutans?" Vex asked, referring to their muscle-bound allies who were supposed to be the heavy hitters in this coalition. "The Brutans are hiding behind the moon, sir. They say they're regrouping, but it looks more like crying." Vex's tail feathers twitched. The Galactic Defense Coalition was supposed to be the premier peacekeeping force in this sector. Instead, they were getting their collective rear ends handed to them by robots that had appeared out of nowhere and seemed to think peaceful negotiation meant shoot first, shoot second, and keep shooting until there's nothing left to shoot. "Sir," came a trembling voice from communications, "we've tried everything. The Zentari meditation crystals just made the robots angrier. The Floxian peace songs caused 3 of them to self-destruct, but I think that was from audio damage, not enlightenment." Vex stared at the tactical display where red dots representing robot ships were steadily munching through blue dots representing his rapidly shrinking fleet. Time for desperate measures. The kind of desperate measures that made sensible bird people question their life choices. "Open a channel to Earth," he said quietly. The bridge went silent. Even the ambient humming of the ship's systems seemed to pause. "Sir?" Lieutenant Fluffington's voice cracked. "Did you just say Earth?" "You heard me. But sir, the humans are Deathworlders. They come from a planet where the very air tries to kill you, where the water falls from the sky like tiny bullets, where the ground itself moves and swallows cities whole. I'm aware of their mythology, Lieutenant." "It's not mythology, sir. I read the reports. Their planet has creatures that eat other creatures alive, for fun. And the humans not only survive there, they built cities and invented something called extreme sports because regular survival wasn't dangerous enough." Vex's beak clicked in annoyance. "The humans are probably just another species with good marketing. Half the stories about Deathworlders are exaggerated. Now open the channel." The communications officer's tentacles were literally trembling as she established the connection. A long pause. Then a crackling voice came through, sounding bored. "Yeah, this is Earth Defense Command. You've reached our automated system because, frankly, most of our calls are either telemarketers or people who dialed wrong. If this is an actual emergency, press 1. If you're trying to reach pizza delivery, that's a different number entirely." Vex looked around the bridge. His crew was staring at him like he'd just announced his intention to juggle live grenades. "We're pressing 1, he said. Another pause, then a different voice, equally bored. "Earth Defense Command, this is Sergeant Mike Collins. What seems to be the problem?" "This is Commander Vex Thornbeak of the Galactic Defense Coalition. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces and request immediate military assistance." "Hold on, did you say galactic? Like space galactic?" "Yes." "Huh, well that's a new one. Usually it's just noise complaints from the moon base. Let me transfer you to someone who handles the weird stuff." The line went quiet except for what sounded suspiciously like elevator music. "Sir," Lieutenant Fluffington whispered, "are we really doing this?" "We're about to find out," Vex replied, watching another of his ships explode on the tactical display. Just how mythical Deathworlders really are. 3 hours later, Jake Murphy was having a perfectly normal day at his perfectly normal job of cleaning space stations, when his perfectly normal life got turned upside down by a phone call. "Murphy, get your butt down to Launch Bay 7, his supervisor barked through the intercom. "You're being reassigned." Jake looked at his mop bucket with the kind of fondness usually reserved for beloved pets. He'd been mopping this same section of Orbital Station Delta for 2 years now, and he'd gotten really good at it. Like, really good. He could spot a scuff mark from 50 meters away and had developed 17 different techniques for dealing with alien bodily fluids. "Reassigned to what?" he called back. "Military operation. Apparently we're needed somewhere called the Kepler sector to help some bird people with a robot problem." Jake blinked. "We're needed?" "You, Rodriguez from engineering, and Captain Boulder from security. They said to pack for a long trip." 10 minutes later, Jake found himself standing in a launch bay next to Luna Rodriguez, who was wiping her hands on a grease-stained jumpsuit, and Captain Rex Boulder, who was somehow managing to look heroic while eating a sandwich. "So," Luna said, "anyone else think this is either a really elaborate prank or we're about to become the universe's most disappointing rescue mission?" Luna was the kind of person who could fix anything with duct tape, determination, and a disturbing amount of colorful language. She'd learned engineering from YouTube videos, and had somehow managed to keep a space station running for 3 years using parts she'd ordered from a catalog that was probably meant for lawnmowers. "I prefer to think of it as destiny," Rex announced, striking a pose that might have been impressive if he wasn't holding a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. "The universe has called, and we have answered." Rex had been the security chief for exactly 6 months, during which time the most dangerous thing he'd dealt with was a tourist who'd gotten stuck in the gift shop's rotating door. But he'd watched every action movie ever made and was absolutely convinced that this was his moment to become the hero he'd always known he was meant to be. "Right," Jake said slowly. "So let me get this straight. Earth's military response to an alien distress call is a janitor, a mechanic, and a security guard?" "Hey," Luna protested. "I'm an engineer. I just happen to specialize in percussive maintenance. You hit things with hammers until they work? It's a time-honored tradition." A harried-looking official in a uniform that had clearly been pressed in a hurry approached their group. "You three are the Kepler Sector Response Team?" "That's us," Rex said, somehow managing to make it sound like they were an elite strike force instead of 3 people who'd been picked because they were the only ones in the building. "Great. Your ship is the reasonable excuse. It's not much to look at, but it's got hyperspace capability and enough firepower to make a small asteroid think twice." Jake looked at their assigned vessel. It was the kind of ship that made you wonder if the designer had ever actually seen a spaceship before, or if they'd just been told to make something that flies and had done their best with a box of spare parts and a really optimistic attitude. "Are we qualified to fly this thing?" Luna asked. "You've all got basic space certifications, right?" "I have a learner's permit for atmospheric vehicles," Jake offered. "I can fly anything with an engine and a prayer," Luna said. "I have extensive experience with flight simulators," Rex added confidently. The official made a note on his tablet. "Close enough. Your mission briefing is in the ship's computer. Try not to start any wars." 20 minutes later, they were strapped into the bridge of the reasonable excuse, which was about as reasonable as its name suggested. The control panel looked like it had been designed by someone who thought buttons were just suggestions and switches were more of a guideline than a rule. "So," Jake said, reading the mission briefing, "we're supposed to help a coalition of alien species fight off robot invaders who are apparently kicking their butts across 3 star systems." "Sounds simple enough," Rex said, flipping switches with the confidence of someone who had absolutely no idea what they did. "Simple?" Luna stared at him. "We're 3 humans with a second-hand spaceship going up against robots that have been beating fleets of actual military vessels." "Exactly," Rex grinned. "The universe is about to learn what happens when you mess with Earth." Jake looked out the viewport at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, aliens were probably expecting salvation in the form of humanity's finest warriors. Instead, they were getting whatever this was. "Well," he said, "this should be interesting." The reasonable excuse dropped out of hyperspace into what could generously be called a war zone, and less generously be called a cosmic demolition derby, where one side had forgotten to bring sledgehammers. "Holy crap," Luna whispered, staring at the tactical display. "There are explosions everywhere." "It's like the 4th of July, but with more screaming and fewer hot dogs," Jake observed. Rex was practically vibrating with excitement. "This is it, people. Our moment of glory. Time to show these robots what humanity's made of." "Terror and bad decisions," Jake suggested. Before Rex could deliver what was undoubtedly going to be an inspiring speech about courage and destiny, their communications system crackled to life. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander Vex Thornbeak of the Galactic Defense Coalition. Please identify yourself and state your business in this combat zone." "This is Captain Rex Boulder of the Earth vessel Reasonable Excuse," Rex announced, somehow making their ridiculous ship name sound official. "We received your distress call and are here to provide assistance." The line went silent for a long moment. Then, "Did you just say Earth?" "That's right. Terra, Sol 3, the big blue marble. We're here to help." Another pause, then frantic chittering in what sounded like at least 3 different languages. Came Vex's voice, considerably less composed than before. "Are you actually claiming to be Deathworlders?" "Death what now?" Luna asked. "I think he means humans," Jake said. "Apparently we have a reputation." The communications channel erupted in what sounded like a committee meeting having a collective nervous breakdown. Jake could make out phrases like, "impossible," "they're real," and "we're all going to die." "Okay," Rex said. "I'm getting the feeling we're missing some context here." "Coalition vessel," Jake said, taking over communications because Rex was starting to look like he was about to declare himself Emperor of Space. "We're a bit confused about the whole Deathworlder thing. We're just humans, from Earth. We fix stuff, we clean stuff, and apparently we're pretty good at breaking stuff when we need to." "You fix stuff?" Vex's voice cracked. "Yeah, Luna here can fix anything. Jake's great at cleaning up messes, and I'm excellent at improvising solutions," Rex added. "But you're from Earth," came a different voice, presumably Lieutenant Fluffington. "The planet where the sky attacks you with frozen water projectiles." "You mean hail?" Luna asked. "Yeah, that's annoying, but you just go inside when it happens." "Go inside?" The alien voice rose an octave. "But the inside has predators." "What predators?" Jake asked. "The reports say your homes are infested with 8-legged creatures that can kill you with a single bite." "Oh, you mean spiders," Luna said. "Yeah, most of them are harmless. We just squish the big ones." "You squish them?" "With newspapers. Or shoes, whatever's handy." The communication channel went quiet, except for what sounded like someone having a panic attack. "Listen," Rex said. "We can discuss Earth's wildlife later. Right now, you've got robot problems, and we're here to help. Where do you need us?" "You're actually going to fight?" Vex asked. "That was the plan," Jake said, "unless you'd prefer we just watched." "But the robots have weapons that can melt steel at 1,000 meters. "That's hot," Luna observed, "but not as hot as the foundry I used to work at. Plus, these ships have shields, right? Shields that are failing under concentrated fire." "Then we'll have to be creative," Rex said. "Jake, what do you think? Standard human problem-solving approach." Jake looked at the tactical display, where Coalition ships were hiding behind asteroids while robots methodically hunted them down. "I'm thinking we need to get their attention first. Draw them away from the civilians." "Civilians?" Vex squawked. "Those are military vessels." "Really?" Luna peered at the display. "They're hiding behind rocks. Where I come from, that's what you do when you're not ready for a fight." "We're not ready for a fight. These robots have been destroying everything in their path for 3 cycles. 3 cycles? Rex asked. "How long is a cycle?" 47 of your Earth days. Jake did the math. "So they've been getting beaten up by robots for almost 5 months. And they're still trying the same hiding behind rock strategy? It's called tactical positioning." "It's called getting picked off one by one," Luna said. "No wonder you're losing." "Look," Rex said, "we appreciate the briefing, but we're going to need you to back off and let us work. Jake, take us in. Luna, see what kind of toys this ship has. I'm going to figure out how to get these robots to chase us instead of them." "Chase us?" Vex's voice climbed another octave. "Are you insane?" "Probably," Jake said cheerfully, firing up the engines. "But we're here now, so let's see what happens." As the reasonable excuse accelerated toward the robot fleet, the Coalition communication channel erupted in panicked chittering. "We're heading directly for the enemy. Without backup, without a plan, without any survival instincts whatsoever." Rex grinned. "I love it when people underestimate us." "To be fair," Jake said, "I'm pretty sure we're about to underestimate ourselves." The reasonable excuse cruised through the debris field like a tourist taking a leisurely drive through a particularly explosive neighborhood. Jake was actually whistling while he piloted, which was doing absolutely nothing for Commander Vex's blood pressure. "Okay," Rex announced, studying the tactical display with the intensity of someone solving a particularly challenging crossword puzzle. "I'm seeing the problem here." "The problem," Vex's voice crackled through the comm, "is that we're facing an unstoppable robotic armada with weapons that can—" "The problem," Rex interrupted, "is that you're playing defense against an enemy that doesn't get tired, doesn't get scared, and doesn't make mistakes. You're basically playing hide-and-seek with a bunch of really angry calculators." "We're employing sound military tactics," Lieutenant Fluffington protested. "You're employing sound military tactics against a conventional enemy," Luna said, currently upside down under a console with her legs sticking out. "These things aren't conventional. They're machines. They don't care about your formations or your strategic positions. They just want to delete you efficiently." "So what do you suggest?" Vex asked, sounding like a man who is rapidly running out of options and dignity. "We change the game," Jake said simply. "Instead of trying to fight them on their terms, we make them fight on ours." And what exactly are human terms? Jake grinned. Chaos, improvisation, and a healthy disregard for safety protocols. The communication channel went quiet except for what sounded like someone hyperventilating. Okay, here's what we're going to do, Rex said, settling into full action hue mode. Luna, what have you found in our weapons systems? Well, Luna's voice came from somewhere inside the ship's guts. We've got standard plasma cannons, some kind of missile system, and what appears to be a mining laser that someone forgot to remove from the original ship's specifications. A mining laser? Vex asked. Yeah, it's designed to cut through asteroid rock. Not exactly military grade, but it's got serious power and range. That's perfect, Rex said. What about our shields? They're decent, but they won't hold up under concentrated fire for long. Maybe 10 minutes if we're lucky. 10 minutes is all we need. Jake, how's our maneuverability? Jake tested the controls. She's not pretty, but she's responsive. I can make her dance if I need to. Excellent. Here's the plan. Rex pulled up a holographic display that showed the current battle formation. See how the robots are moving in perfect formation? They're coordinated, which means they're probably networked. Take out the command ship and the rest should be confused for a few minutes. The command ship is in the center of their formation, Vex pointed out. It's surrounded by 37 combat vessels. That's the beauty of it, Rex said. They're protecting their most valuable asset, which means they're all clustered together. Luna, how wide is the beam spread on that mining laser? At maximum power, about 50 meters. Why? Because we're going to cut through their entire formation like a hot knife through butter. The communication channel erupted in panicked chittering. That's suicide. The laser doesn't have the range. You'll never get close enough. Actually, Jake said, running some quick calculations, if we use the asteroid field for cover and approach from below their formation, we could probably get within range before they realize what we're doing. But their sensors will detect you. Will they? Luna asked, emerging from the console covered in grease and looking pleased with herself. Because I just finished rigging our engine signature to match the local asteroid composition. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're just another floating rock. You can do that? Vex asked. YouTube is amazing, Luna said. You can learn anything if you're willing to ignore the part where they say not to try this at home. So, here's the plan, Rex continued. We drift in with the asteroids, get close enough to use the mining laser, and cut a line straight through their formation. That should take out their command ship, and probably a few others. And then what? Vex asked. Then we improvise, Jake said cheerfully. Improvise? Yeah, you know, make it up as we go along, see what happens, roll with the punches. That's not a plan. Sure it is, Rex said. It's a human plan. We're really good at adapting to unexpected situations. Because everything on your planet is an unexpected situation, Lieutenant Fluffington muttered. Exactly. See, you're getting it. Luna had pulled up the ship's inventory. We've also got a full load of maintenance supplies, welding equipment, cutting tools, emergency patches, and about 3 tons of various repair materials. What are you thinking? Rex asked. I'm thinking that if we're going to be improvising, we should probably have some way to jury-rig weapons from whatever we find floating around after we break their formation. I like it, Jake said. Nothing says human engineering like turning garbage into weapons. You're all completely insane, Vex said. Probably, Rex agreed. But we're insane with a plan and a mining laser. Plus, what's the worst that could happen? We could all die horribly, Vex pointed out. True, Jake said, but we could also win. And honestly, hiding behind rocks wasn't working out so well for you anyway. There was a long pause. Then Vex sighed, a sound that somehow conveyed the weight of command, the burden of desperate choices, and the growing realization that he was about to trust his fleet's survival to 3 humans who thought improvise was a valid military strategy. Fine, he said, but if this gets us all killed, I'm blaming you in my final report. Fair enough, Rex said. Jake, take us in. Luna, charge up that mining laser. Time to show these robots what human problem-solving looks like. This is either going to be brilliant or spectacular, Jake said, steering toward the asteroid field. Why not both? Luna asked and began humming what sounded suspiciously like the theme from an action movie. A reasonable excuse drifted through the asteroid field like a particularly determined piece of space debris, which was exactly what Jake was going for. The ship's modified signature was working perfectly, and the robot sensors were treating them like just another chunk of rock in a field full of chunks of rock. Coalition forces, this is Rex Boulder, Rex whispered into the comm, because apparently he thought the robots could hear him. We're beginning our approach. When you see the light show, that's your cue to stop hiding and start shooting. But what light show? Vex asked nervously. You'll know it when you see it, Luna said, making final adjustments to the mining laser's power coupling. Fair warning, this is going to get really bright really fast. Jake maneuvered the ship between two particularly large asteroids, using their gravitational fields to mask their approach vector. It was the kind of precision flying that would have impressed a lot of people if anyone had been paying attention to anything other than the impending collision with 37 heavily armed robot death machines. Distance to target? Rex asked. 2,000 meters in closing, Jake reported. Their formation hasn't changed. They're still in perfect geometric alignment. Perfect, Luna said. Makes them easier to hit. It's like they're begging to be cut in half. Robots don't beg, Vex pointed out. They're about to start, Rex said grimly. 1,000 meters, Jake announced. Still undetected. Through the viewports, they could see the robot fleet hanging in space like a collection of angry metal sculptures. Each ship was identical, angular, and radiating the kind of menace that suggested their designers had prioritized intimidation over aesthetics, which, to be fair, had been working pretty well on the Coalition forces. 500 meters, Jake said. Luna, you're up. Mining laser, charged and ready, Luna announced. Rex, you might want to hold on to something. This is going to kick like a mule with anger management issues. Fire when ready, Rex said, gripping his chair like he was about to ride a particularly aggressive roller coaster. Luna pulled the trigger. The mining laser lit up space like someone had decided to relocate the sun. The beam carved through the robot formation with surgical precision, cutting through ship after ship like they were made of tinfoil instead of advanced alien alloys. The lead robot vessel, presumably the command ship, simply ceased to exist in any meaningful sense of the word. Holy crap, Jake whispered, watching the display as red dots started winking out of existence. Did we just vaporize half their fleet? Rex asked. Looks like it, Luna said, sounding surprised. That laser had more punch than I expected. The remaining robot ships immediately broke formation, their perfect geometric arrangement dissolving into chaos as they tried to figure out what had just happened to their friends. Without their command ship, they were operating on backup programming, which apparently hadn't included contingencies for surprise mining laser attacks. Coalition forces, this is your cue, Rex shouted into the comm. Hit them now, while they're confused. They're not confused. Vex's voice came back. They're recalibrating. We have maybe 3 minutes before they adapt to the new tactical situation. 3 minutes is plenty, Jake said, spinning the ship around to face the scattered robot vessels. Luna, what else can we throw at them? Well, Luna said, scrolling through their weapons inventory. We've got missiles, but they're pretty basic. Might not punch through their armor. What about those repair supplies you mentioned? Luna's eyes lit up with the kind of expression that usually preceded either brilliant innovation or spectacular disaster. I have an idea. Jake, can you get us close to that debris field we just created? The one full of exploding robot parts? That's the one. Jake swung the ship toward the expanding cloud of metal fragments and sparking electronics. What are you thinking? I'm thinking we turn their own weapons against them. Some of those debris pieces are still powered. If I can rig a few of them with proximity charges and use our tractor beam to launch them. Improvised guided missiles, Rex said admiringly. I like it. It's completely insane, Vex protested. It's completely human, Jake corrected. Luna, how long do you need? Give me 2 minutes. While Luna worked her engineering magic, Jake played the most dangerous game of tag ever invented, dodging robot weapons fire while collecting useful debris. The reasonable excuses shields were holding, but they were taking a beating. Shields at 60%, Jake reported, executing a maneuver that would have made a fighter pilot proud and a flight instructor faint. Almost got it, Luna said, sparks flying from her jury-rigged launcher. Okay, I've got 5 improvised missiles ready to go. They're not pretty, but they should pack a punch. Define not pretty, Rex said. Well, one of them is mostly held together with duct tape and good intentions. That's fine, Jake said, narrowly avoiding a plasma bolt that would have removed their starboard engine. Pretty is overrated. Luna fired her improvised missiles, which streaked toward the robot ships, trailing sparks and what looked suspiciously like coolant fluid. They didn't look like much, but when they hit hard. The first one took out a robot ship's engine array. The second one somehow managed to trigger a chain reaction that took out 2 ships at once. How did you do that? Vex asked, sounding awed. I used their own power cords as warheads, Luna said. Turns out robot ships are really efficient, right up until you turn that efficiency against them. Remaining enemy vessels are breaking off, Jake reported. They're retreating. Retreating? Rex asked. But there are still 15 of them left. Yeah, but they just watched us turn their own technology into weapons using what they probably think is primitive engineering. From their perspective, we're not just Deathworlders. We're Deathworlders who can weaponize anything. Can we? Vex asked. Pretty much, Luna said. Give me a paperclip in 5 minutes, and I'll show you 3 different ways to make it dangerous. That's terrifying, Lieutenant Fluffington said. That's Tuesday, Rex said. Jake, pursuit course? Actually, Jake said, watching the robot ships disappear into hyperspace. I think we should let them go. Let them go? Rex asked. But we're winning. Exactly. They're going to go back to whoever sent them and report that they got beaten by 3 humans in a second-hand ship who turned mining equipment into weapons and used their own debris as ammunition. That's going to make them think twice about messing with anyone in this sector. Plus, Luna added, we're out of improvised missiles, our shields are down to 30%, and I'm pretty sure I just voided the warranty on half our systems. So we won, Vex asked, sounding like he couldn't quite believe it. We won, Rex confirmed. Coalition forces, this is Captain Boulder. The robot threat has been neutralized. The sector is secure. The communication channel erupted in cheering, chittering, and what sounded like several different species having celebrations in their native languages. How? Vex asked. How did 3 humans in one ship accomplish what our entire fleet couldn't? Jake looked at Luna, who was covered in grease and grinning. He looked at Rex, who was somehow managing to look heroic despite having a sandwich crumb on his shirt. Then he looked out at the debris field where the robot fleet used to be. I think, he said slowly, it's because we're really good at breaking things. 2 hours later, the reasonable excuse was docked with Commander Vex's flagship, and Jake was discovering that alien hospitality involved a lot more ceremonial fruit than he'd expected. This is Claxberry wine, Vex explained, offering Jake a cup of something that looked like it might glow in the dark. It's reserved for our most honored guests. Honored guests? Jake asked, accepting the cup with the kind of caution usually reserved for handling live explosives. You saved our entire fleet, our entire sector. You're heroes. Rex was practically glowing with pride, which was either from the praise or from the 3 cups of alien wine he'd already consumed. Just doing our job, Commander. Earth stands ready to help its allies. Earth has allies now? Luna asked, currently upside down under what appeared to be a Cathara navigation console, because apparently she couldn't stop fixing things, even during a victory celebration. After today? Earth has whatever it wants, Vex said seriously. I've already sent a priority message to the Galactic Council. The humans are to be classified as a Class A civilization with full diplomatic privileges. What were we before? Jake asked. Class X. Theoretical. We weren't entirely sure you actually existed. And now? Vex looked at the tactical display, which was still showing the debris field where the robot fleet used to be. Now you're classified as a strategic asset. Approach with extreme caution. Do not engage in hostile actions. Recommend immediate alliance. That seems a bit much, Jake said. Is it? Vex asked. You turned mining equipment into weapons, improvised guided missiles from debris, and somehow convinced 15 enemy vassals to retreat by demonstrating that you could weaponize their own technology. What would you call that? Tuesday? Luna suggested from under the console. Exactly my point, Vex said. What you call Tuesday, we call impossible. Lieutenant Fluffington approached the group, carrying what looked like an official document covered in seals and ribbons. Commander, the casualty reports from the other coalition fleets. How bad? Vex asked. That's just it, sir. We had 0 casualties. Total fleet damage was less than 5%, and most of that was from the initial robot attacks before the humans arrived. 0 casualties? Rex asked. The robots were so focused on the human ship that they completely ignored us once the battle started. It was like watching someone try to swat a particularly aggressive insect while ignoring a flock of birds. We're the insect in this metaphor? Jake asked. You're the insect that somehow convinced the swatter to break itself, Vex said. I'm not sure what that makes you, but it's definitely not something we want to fight. Luna emerged from the console, wiping her hands on her jumpsuit. Your navigation system was running at about 60% efficiency. It should work better now. You fixed our navigation system? Lieutenant Fluffington asked. It was making a weird noise. I couldn't concentrate with all that clicking. Elaborate torture. That clicking was our primary guidance computer. Yeah, it had a loose connection. Should be fine now. Vex made a note on his tablet. Add involuntary technical support to the human threat assessment. We're not a threat, Jake protested. You're beings who can weaponize anything, fix problems we didn't know we had, and approach mortal combat with the casual attitude most species reserve for recreational activities. You're absolutely a threat. You're just a friendly threat. I can live with that, Rex said. Speaking of living, Vex said, we'd like to invite you to visit the Coalition homeworlds. As honored guests, of course. There would be parades, ceremonies, probably some kind of statue. That sounds nice, Jake said. But we should probably get back to Earth. We've got jobs to get back to. Jobs? Vex asked. Yeah, I've got a space station to clean, Luna's got engineering work to catch up on, and Rex has security duties. You're going back to your regular jobs? After this? Well, yeah. This was just a quick trip to help out some neighbors. We can't just abandon our responsibilities. Vex stared at them. You consider us neighbors? Sure, we're all sharing the same galaxy, right? That makes us neighbors. And you'd come back if we needed help again? Of course, Rex said. That's what neighbors do. Vex was quiet for a long moment. Then he updated his tablet again. Revising threat assessment. Humans are not just strategically valuable, they're nice. Nice? Lieutenant Fluffington asked. They like us because we asked for help. Not because they wanted something, not because they were obligated to, but because they thought it was the right thing to do. When was the last time we encountered a species that was both terrifyingly competent and genuinely altruistic? Never, Lieutenant Fluffington said. Exactly. That's what makes them so dangerous. They're not just capable of incredible violence, they're capable of incredible kindness. And they don't seem to understand the difference. Jake looked at Luna, who was now examining what appeared to be a drink dispenser with professional interest. He looked at Rex, who was showing a group of young Kithara officers his improvised battle planning techniques. Then he looked at Vex, who was watching them with the expression of someone who had just discovered that his new neighbors were simultaneously the most helpful and most terrifying beings in the galaxy. Commander, Jake said, before we go, I have to ask, what happened to the robots? I mean, where did they come from? We don't know, Vex admitted. They appeared 3 cycles ago and started attacking everything in sight. No communication, no demands, just systematic destruction. And they just left. The surviving ships transmitted a message before they jumped to hyperspace. Our translators are still working on it, but the preliminary analysis suggests it was something like reassessing tactical parameters and recommend alternative targets. So they're going to go bother someone else? Probably someone who doesn't have humans for neighbors, Vex said, which after today is going to be a very short list. Jake finished his Claxberry wine, which tasted like fruit punch mixed with rocket fuel, and stood up. Well, Commander, it's been a pleasure, but we really should get going. Earth's expecting us back, and we've got a report to file. What kind of report? Vex asked. The kind that says, we met some friendly aliens who had a robot problem, so we helped them out. Pretty standard stuff. Standard? Vex asked weakly. Yeah, you know, neighborly assistance, community service, Tuesday. As the 3 humans prepared to leave, Vex made one final note on his tablet. Humans consider intergalactic warfare to be community service. Do not let them get bored. Safe travels, Commander, Rex said, shaking Vex's wing in what was probably the first human Kithara handshake in galactic history. And remember, if you need anything, Earth's just a phone call away. Phone call? Vex asked. Figure of speech. You know how to reach us. As the reasonable excuse undocked and prepared to jump to hyperspace, Jake couldn't help but smile. They'd helped some neighbors, solved a problem, and made some new friends. All in all, not a bad day's work. So, Luna said as they settled in for the trip home, anyone else think we're going to get a really weird performance review when we get back? Probably, Jake said. But hey, at least we didn't start any wars. Give it time, Rex said cheerfully. We've got a whole galaxy to explore. Behind them, the Coalition fleet was already spreading the word. The humans were real, they were friendly, and they were absolutely not to be messed with. The galaxy, whether it knew it or not, had just gotten a whole lot more interesting. And somewhere in the depths of space, a robot fleet was updating its threat assessment database and quietly deciding that maybe, just maybe, it was time to find a new line of work.